How to change my money habits. I'm finding it hard to change my habits and value of money. I'm 20 from Western Europe and I have a college degree in software development and recently completed an internship at a digital e commerce agency as an intern application developer and intern web engineer. To not get too deep into it, this job showed me that I am at least skill wise capable of working in a medium sized company. I had quite some important tasks and projects all to myself. I'm not rich. I've always made money to pay for most things I needed clothes, snacks, etc. since I was 14. Ever since I turned 17, I'd say I pay almost everything for myself. I make decent money online. I've had multiple small businesses. I've set up online over the years, which have made me enough to the point where I don't need a job. Now, the last 2 years, I've been going south. At my peak, I was probably earning about 10K a month for 2 to 3 months. I have very bad money habits, and a lot of my money basically gets thrown into eating out. Traveling, this is actually a good use of my money, in my opinion. Weed, gambling, shopping. I've always known I had a problem with my value of money. I don't think twice when spending 200 to 300 euro on something like a pair of jeans. I always thought as long as I make it back, it's fine. Okay, so basically, from what I'm understanding, this person has almost like the mindset of a salesperson. And what I mean by that, a lot of salespeople think that they can literally always out earn what they spend because they know that they could basically just like get on a phone and basically just practically print money, right? The problem with that, when you know that you're pretty much typically really good at making money, you get this false sense of security that like you'll always be able to make that money. The problem is you can't always out earn your spending simply because a lot of spending comes with a lot of bad habits. So, for example, this person basically just admitted that they have a lot of addicting habits, right? Shopping can be very addicting. Gambling is addicting. It's not, it can be addicting. Gambling is addicting. Weed. Some people might say, oh, weed is not addicting. But for the majority of people, they are. And for someone with this type of personality, where they know that they got bad habits and they can't really control themselves, and they're doing gambling and shopping and all this kind of stuff, right? Weed is probably addictive to them. So just keep that in mind. So today, I gambled away about 1,000 euros, and with that is the end of my horrendous money use. I want to start saving money and get my value back. I would like to be able to be more satisfied with what I actually have and stop needing more all the time. However, I have no clue where to start to change myself. So, I think the biggest issue with this person has is that they are not content. And what I mean by that, this individual basically, like somewhere in their mind, is always wanting more, right? So, for example, like to put it into perspective, this person is like basically not the type of person where they're happy with the same backpack that they had 2 years ago. Like this person is not happy with the iPhone that works perfectly fine a year ago, right? They're not happy with the TV that they got a year ago. Still works perfectly fine, still looks nice, does everything that they need, but they gotta have more, is basically what I'm understanding. And the problem with that is like it's such a bad mentality and it's such a hard thing to break Because even though that this person says that they want to change it, that is an incredibly hard thing to do, right? Because you're always going to have that like little devil on your like shoulder saying like, why aren't you getting the new iPhone? What? Like, are you not good enough to have the new iPhone? Your buddy's got a new iPhone. Why don't you get a new iPhone? Right? Like, oh, that car over there. Like, don't you want a nicer car? Do you want the new car? Don't you deserve a new car? And you get like a buddy that might be driving a really nice car, but you know your buddy can't actually afford it. But you're thinking, well, I mean, my buddy's getting to drive that new car. I want to drive that new car, right? But like, who are you driving the car to impress, right? This is such a bad thing. Like, this is such a bad mentality. It's like the only way that I personally know how to change this mentality is that you are basically going to have to force it. And you're going to have to force it for a very long period of time. Basically, like, you are going to have to probably actually have someone help you out where they like can keep you accountable for at the very least like a month, 2 months, 3 months, where before you make any type of purchases or spending, you basically consult with them. And so this could be like a family member, a friend, whatever, right? Where basically every time you spend money, no matter what it is, every time you spend money, you basically like text them and be like, "Hey, I'm about to like spend like $10 on this. Oh, I'm about to spend $500 on this. Oh, like I'm about to spend a grand on like gambling right now, right?" And you got to text them and you got to be completely honest with them. Otherwise, I really don't understand how you would be able to break this because this is such a strong mentality that like just stays with you. Like it literally just stays with you for a very long time. Even if you want to change it, it's so hard to change it. Especially with on top of the bad mindset of never being content, you have very addictive spending habits. Gambling is beyond addictive. People have lost hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars that they've never had to gambling, right? Man, let's see some of these comments. Let's see. It's great that you want to help yourself. I think it's valuable for you to speak with a therapist. I agree. Especially for your gambling addiction. I agree. I believe that what will ultimately be the motivator for you to change is when you have burned through enough money and have become aware enough that it hasn't increased your happiness or contentment. That awareness will slowly help you change how you view money. You seem to still be getting some satisfaction from thrills and impressing others. That will subside, and it is then that you will change how you treat your money. You seem exactly like a 20-year-old who has money. No worries, you will mature and with it change your view on money. Good luck to you. The problem is with the mentality of never feeling content, which is what he was basically getting at. That is very hard to break. That is extremely hard to break. That's not something that you just like naturally mature out of, right? Like that is an extremely hard mindset to break. Let's see. So I used to be terrible with money too. In my 20s, I made good money and was always looking to spend it. What changed things for me was my previous fiancés got very sick very fast. We had been a two income household and suddenly it was just my income. I realized this is a uniquely American problem. Here in the US, health insurance will pay a certain percentage of your health care. The remaining balance falls on you. Ours paid 80%, leaving us to pay 20%. It felt like overnight our joint savings was gone. I realized one day, looking over our funds, that there was no money for groceries after spending hundreds at a posh restaurant the night before. Later that day, while driving home from my mother's, I had to borrow money for the first time to buy groceries. A talk radio show, blah, 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 blah. Let's see. Okay. Budget page set, blah, 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 blah. Okay, this is an interesting take. So, one thing that sometimes helped me was figuring out how many hours I would have to work to pay for the thing. If you stay thinking about it, is it worth working 10 hours to buy this thing? It's a lot easier to decide you don't really need it. Another thing is for impulse decisions is to say if I still remember wanting this in a week, I'll come back and buy it, no regrets, because most of the time you forget you even wanted it. Okay, interesting points. But again, at the same issue still applies where this person doesn't feel content, right? They don't feel content, but also they got addictions. Like they literally have addictions. So like it's just like a horrendous combination. And again, like the only way that I really know how to do something like this to fix it is to have someone that you have to be accountable to. So that one comment about the therapist option might be worth it. It literally might be worth spending a few $100 a month on a therapist to be someone that you're accountable to no matter what, that you got to be honest to no matter what, or they keep you in check. Like, you might have to do that just so that you can literally, one, get rid of the addictions eventually, and then also try to deal with the issue of never feeling content enough, right? Like for me personally, I would be happy driving nothing, basically, chilling with my dogs, living in a box, basically. Like I'd probably feel pretty okay with that. But I don't want to do that, nor would I want to do that, right? But I would be content enough to where mentally I'd be okay with that, right? I wouldn't have to personally buy something nice to feel good about myself, even though I know I have money. So that's something that you got to really think about, right? It's like if you're facing addictions, deal with that. If you're facing issues with content, you need someone that you have to be accountable to, that you, one, probably either respect them or you trust them or you have to trust them, right? But this is such a bad thing because like a lot of people, especially a lot of dudes that make really good money that have a spending habit in terms of like contentment spending and addiction spending, eventually they're going to like get to the point where they basically revert back to like, oh, I could just out earn my spending. Oh, I could just do this and make some more money. Oh, I made 10K last month or 2 months ago. I can make that again. Oh, it's so easy to make that money. Blah 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 blah. Right? But like nothing's guaranteed.